Congratulations on your first solo exhibition here at Timeless Textiles, and what a beautiful exhibition this is, full of colour. Where did colour come from for you, Cathy?
I have no idea, because really this is totally new for me. I haven't studied art, I haven't studied colour per se until later in life, so it's been an absolute joy to discover something so vibrant and edifying.
And the colours that you've got on the walls in this gallery represent a lot of Australian colours. It seems
Absolutely.
to me it reflects a whole span of your life.
Mm.
Would you like to talk about those influences for you?
No problem. Colour is easy for me to work with when I team it with Australia. I love my country. I'm passionate about Australian poetry, Australian art, and yes, a lot of memories from my childhood perhaps, and holidays to the south coast with my family. They're all intermeshed together, and it just seems to come out, particularly with the work behind you and the piece Black Opal. That's very emotional for me. The Wild Waratah, very unusual colour palette for me to use, and very little value gradation there, but it is stunning. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favourite pieces, and I'll certainly be using that colour palette again. It's just wonderful. It glows. It doesn't photograph well, but it glows.
So that's one of the striking features of your exhibition, is how each of the pieces of artwork do glow. It's not only just the colours, but it's the sheen.
Absolutely, it's the thread, and I love to work with shiny thread. Doesn't matter if it's rayon or polyester, but I just find that along with the colour aspect and the dimension, I'm all about light, and I want to bounce. I want to use or utilise that light. So it bounces off in different directions. So yes, you get this under a spotlight and a light, and it does glow, and that's certainly down to the threads, but also the dimension.
And it seems to me like you use a very abstract approach to your artwork.
I love abstract art. I'm not a good drawer. I find that difficult. Simple geometric shapes I can do, a house I can do, a leaf I can do. When it comes to anything more difficult than that, I find that very, very hard. So utilising simple shapes like a circle has just been wonderful for me. But, adding simple shapes like squares, rectangles, circles will always work if you get the scale and the value gradations correct. Colour will always work.
And the circles that you have been making have a very 3D effect. Is that from the technique that you've been using, Cathy?
It is, and it came about quite unexpectedly. I have been working on felt for a number of years, and I love working on felt. And initially when I was making quilts, I actually used to block them and steam them to get them flat. And I started to think, why am I doing this? I actually love this manipulation, this fabric manipulation. And that's when I started to cover the entire substrate with stitch and just let the piece do what it will do. And it wasn't until I started doing these larger circles that I realised the dimensionality is just unexpectedly large. I mean, that's about 4 centimetres from the back of the work. And I just love it. It's so beautiful and so tactile. You just want to go up there and touch it. I'm not going to say anymore.
So it must have been a lovely surprise for you when that happened, if it was accidental.
Yes, it was. It came about because of a small piece of felt a friend of mine, Lizette Campbell, made, and I could only stitch around those little bumps that she had made in her felt. And I loved the effect. It reminded me of ethnic textiles. It reminded me of Sonia Delaunay, whose work I absolutely adore. And, it's interesting how and where inspiration comes from. It's not all, it can come from anywhere. And then you've just got to utilise it. Yeah.
But where does your inspirations come from, Kat?
Anywhere, everywhere. And I like to work all the time. I don't like to stop. I feel if I stop, I'm going to dry up. I don't want to dry up. So while I'm working, I will be thinking about the next piece, and quite often the piece after that as well. So I know what I'm doing after this piece. I also like to work to competitions and exhibitions, and I find having that time frame helps me produce work. Having a deadline certainly helps me produce work on time. I just love it so much. I feel very grateful that I can do what I love and that I love what I do. And how many people can say that? How good is it? Yeah.
It's very heartwarming.
Yes, well, I think when you're passionate about what you do, it shows. And I was mentored by a couple of beautiful, beautiful women, wonderful artists, and their names are Effie Mitrofanis and Karma Victoria Baines. I'll never forget them. I will forever be grateful to them when I did the proficiency certificate with the Embroiderers Guild. And they passed on their passion. They spoke to my heart and my head. The technique I could do, I didn't need that. I needed that. And they gave that to me in spades. And I'll never forget Karma. She said, use your love. And that's what you do. And I think the other part to that, because I have this dedicated routine, which helps me produce as I do, only came about because of that certificate that I did with the Embroiderers Guild. It gave me the structure that I needed to be able to continue to produce work. And I haven't forgotten that. I did that course in 2004. I've continued that on. It stuck by me very well. But I don't think we're all confident artists when we start out, and I certainly wasn't. I don't know many people who are. Well, good luck to them if they are. I think you need to keep producing, keep exhibiting, keep doing, and it's not easy. I know my work is so different. It's not easy to put your work out there and have people comment on it, and they're not always positive. Hey ho, that's fine, but I think that was the hardest thing for me. Fancy putting a bird and a sun and a rainbow. I had lots of comments, why do you use rainbows? Well, I don't know, it was just right for the piece, and really what they should be asking is why use that colour? For me, all my work it goes back to colour, it really does.
How do you keep yourself fresh? Because you've been working in this medium now for quite some time.
I think my work is moving on. Now I'm doing more abstract work. I'm thinking already of another body of work. And, it'll be interesting to see how that differs from what I have here. I'm pretty sure it will. But evolution, I think, is something that we have to do as artists. I think you can't just continue to produce the same. I think you become very stale very quickly. So, yeah, I'll just push on. It'll happen.
So, Cathy, that freshness just comes automatically for you. You don't need to go and be inspired by sitting by the ocean or going to galleries or looking in books. It's just whilst you're working, fresh ideas come in.
Yes, sometimes, but yes, I am inspired by nature. I love the sea. I love the Australian landscape. I'm a country girl, so all the colours of Australia just, ignite that passion in me. I love the sun, I love the sea, the outback. I've never been to the outback, but I've been to the Great Barrier Reef. The colours of the water, the fish, the Daintree, it's just amazing. But I also am very inspired by going to exhibitions. I don't go to a lot, I'm usually too busy working, but I do like to go and see things that inspire me. But I think too, looking at Pinterest, things like Pinterest, I adore Pinterest. I love to see what other people all around the world are doing. And I have to say, surprise, surprise, I love Facebook. There are people on Facebook who blog fantastic sites, and I've been introduced to artists that I would never have heard of before, and not in this genre. I mean, you can be inspired by sculpture, tapestry. It doesn't matter what it is. Just go for it, whatever resonates with you. And there's a lot of stuff resonates with me. I don't know why.
Clearly, with such a beautifully vibrant show that you have.
My advice to others starting out perhaps would be, stick to your guns, go with your passion, don't give up, be determined. I am so determined, I can't believe it. But I am determined to do what I do, and I'm very fortunate that I can do that now. As I said before, I'm very grateful that I can do that. But it gives me such pleasure, and I think, I was speaking with people here coming into the exhibition, and I would give everyone the same advice. Just stick with your passion and don't give up. It doesn't matter what age you are, where you are at in your artistic journey. Clearly, people just need to do, and I don't think we do enough. I want to do more. I want more hours in the day.
So Cathy, I'd love you to describe the technique that you use, and we're very lucky that you've been here in the gallery demonstrating your work. So as you go through this work, can you just explain what you're doing as well?
Certainly. I have developed this technique from simple free machine embroidery, very easy to do. But what I do differently, I suppose, is that I use two threads through the machine at the one time. So there's two threads going through the one needle, and by using the two threads it covers the substrate far more quickly. Otherwise I'd be here all day.
So Cathy, what's the technique you're using?
It's thread painting or free machine embroidery with two threads going through the one needle. I work very slowly, I work very rhythmically, I suppose. I get to know the feel of my machine. This would be the speed that I would work constantly throughout the day, and basically I am just filling in shape. So you can see very much easy circular shapes, easy squares, and I use line to great effect because of those colour changes, because of those value differences. It really pops. And I'm using shisha mirrors here, which is a new technique that I'm developing, and I'm very happy with the way things are going. So it's just a matter of completely covering this white substrate, which is just white acrylic felt. It's a great technique. If you can draw a line with a pencil, crayon, texture, you can emulate that with your needle and this technique.
So Cathy, you've become very well regarded for your artwork, both nationally and internationally. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little about that, please?
Yes, it's been a recent development. Things have really taken off in the last year or so. I have been entering exhibitions and competitions for a long time, and it's just very interesting. I think it just shows if you keep at it and at it and at it, eventually, things will take off. But I'm absolutely thrilled that my piece, My Country, My Way, which has been shown at the Birmingham Festival of Quilts in England last year, is now going to France to be shown there in April of this year. That's a fantastic quilt. I absolutely adore it, based on Dorothea McKellar's poem, There Goes Australia Again. I love My Country. My other work, Most Beautiful World of Peaceful Harmony, won the Margaret Oppen Prize with the Embroiderers Guild. So I think it's very interesting that whilst I'm a quilter, and I acknowledge all these works here are quilts, I'm still an embroiderer. I can't, I've got a foot in both camps. But success will come, I think, if you persevere. Yeah, I'm thrilled and I'm very, very proud.
And I'm very honoured to have had you exhibit here at Timeless Textiles, so thank you and congratulations on such a beautiful show.
Thank you, it's been a joy to work with you.